All right, awesome. Well, good morning, everybody. I don't know. Wait, do I look at anything or do I look at him? Like, where should we go?
Red.
I love it. Camera's red. So excited to be here. This is my first international conference. And I have Harjis here. Welcome. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for inviting. By the way, my name is actually basically Latvian version of Harry, so you can call me Harry.
Awesome, Harry. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, so I've known Harry now for about 90 seconds. So we're going to dive into your career, really kind of how you got to where you're at, right? So a little about me is I've been in the engineering space for 13 years. I was a traditional recruiter, got people jobs. I've placed thousands of engineers at this point. And really my whole thesis and really the company I work for, Torque, is to really help people throughout their career, right? So so I wanted to ask you, like, obviously you're currently a director of engineering, right? So I'm fascinated. Your origin story, how did you get to where you're at? How did you get into tech? And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, well, how much time do you have?
30 minutes, man, 30 minutes. Yeah, we'll fly through it.
Well, the journey hasn't been fast, path on escalator or lift. I'm 40 now, so it's taken a while.
You look great.
It hasn't been a sprint or like a dead set goal, to get where I am. It's just a natural progression of career growth and just doing the best you can wherever you are. My personal journey has been quite meandering in a way, because actually when I finished school, I wanted to go into law or economics and finance, but I didn't get there.
Okay.
I was a bit sick at the time, and the exams just didn't go well. But I did get into computer networks and administration.
There you go.
At the time, Linux, Windows, 2003. All the LAMP stack.
Yeah.
And I always loved, even as a teenager, just building websites, even with basic words, saving us HTML files and linking together. I really loved it, just creating UIs and all this experience. So we were playing games like Unreal Tournament, Counter-Strike with my friends, and we had a clan back in the day.
I love it.
And I built the first web page for us, it was pure HTML with frame set. Then I learned PHP, some MySQL. So long story short, I don't want to go at it too long. My path has been quite meandering, because eventually I did also get into economics and finance. I studied one more time, got my bachelor's degree. Then I decided not to work in that field, and I went to become a yoga teacher for a couple of years.
That's awesome.
But always on the side, I was doing freelance gigs, building small websites with PHP. LAMP stack at the time was 2007, 2012. But yoga teacher job actually got me to the Netherlands, because there was a studio in Rotterdam, where I came to work. I didn't really like it here. It was a time my first child was about to be born, and I realized, okay, time to get serious and get a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
And since I had all those web skills, I got into front-end development, because there was actually a time when back-end and front-end really split.
Yes.
Before that, there was no front-end, back-end. It was just web development.
Right.
You just did it, right? I mean, what front-end, what back-end. And that was the time, when Angular was really, first Angular came about. And I was really in that scene for many years, basically 2020. Angular, React, Vue, Node.js, a little bit of cloud, a little bit of Java, a bit of Python, but mostly front-end work. And then 4 years ago I started working with Giraffe. That's a company from my home country. We had a lot of chemistry. The team really trusted me, of course, because I had a lot of background, whole this journey. Of course, you've seen a lot of things: how teams work, how people work, how Agile works, how Scrum works, what all the roles, what QA does, what architects do, just a general acumen of things. And actually, my economics and finance studies did help a lot. Just talking with business.
Sure.
So then, it sort of went relatively fast to be given responsibility to scale some teams, to work with the back-end team, platform team, to shape how the teams work, how it interact with product.
I love it.
Then
I love it. So let me ask you this. I think a lot of people, they always see people in leadership in tech right now, and they don't understand that you started from the same place every other junior developer starts, right? You started with no experience at one point. How did you land your first job in tech? Was it through a networking event? Was it through a meetup? How did you land that first job in tech?
My first job was working for a Latvian news site as a PHP developer in 2006.
Yeah.
I just saw the I saw there was like an online posting. They need a developer, and I applied.
Really?
And I got the
Okay.
job. Yeah, I went there. The interview went well. I finished the test. It was like had to implement like drawing a mathematical function in PHP. It was really simple for back in the day. But to be fair, I had experience with PHP. I had built like some websites
Sure.
myself, and also in that university for computer administration, we had a PHP course.
Okay.
So I had chance to polish my skills already before that.
So, and you bring up something interesting about having the experience before you had the job.
Yeah.
Do you see that's incredibly important? I mean, obviously you're in a leadership position. Sure, you're probably responsible for hiring some engineers right now. I feel like a lot of the market right now, it's very difficult to get a job.
Yes.
I've been preaching a lot, like you kind of have to have the experience before you get hired. Do you see that? Do you really look for people who already have the experience before coming in?
Yes, you do need to have, but although I wouldn't say that experience is the seminal thing. Actually, what comes before experience is your genuine interest. That this is the field that you are like, that it sparks interest. You feel excitement. You want to build things. You want to figure out things. You have curiosity. How does Unix work? Why do we use terminal to run commands? Why don't use GUI for some things? How it all builds. How the abstraction layers come together. Of course, you're not going to understand everything in the beginning, but you at least have a curiosity to keep digging when you encounter something new. And if you have that, then you'll get experience just to being home and being curious and tinkering with things. And I really look for that when I talk with juniors when they apply. I made a couple of bets, and I'm happy most of them paid off. Because if you manage to spot that talent, that spark, that somebody he's been playing Minecraft, but still building his own mod or something, or playing whatever Call of Duty, but building something his own, like skins, things, and tried maybe some 3D things, and like for the role he actually didn't have like much web experience, but just because he had tried those things, and I saw that spark, I knew he would figure it out.
Yeah.
And he did.
So it's that curiosity that really people need to bring to the table.
Yes,
right
genuine interest
Yep.
in the field that it's yours. Because there can be a bit of like a mercantile sentiment that I'm going to go in IT because salaries are good.
Right, exactly.
But of course, you can do that and can work, but it's not going to often get you out of the bed and make you go the extra mile and make you curious. I made a similar move back in the day, going for economics and finance degree. I really struggled with graduating because everything was uphill battle emotionally, like accounting, finance. I mean, I'm glad I did it now in retrospect, but it was a struggle because my heart is not in it, and that's why I never went working in that field.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're an engineering leader now. What's kind of some of the things you've learned as a leader that you wish you knew earlier in your career that you could tell others if they're getting into engineering leadership?
Yeah, well, imposter syndrome is a thing.
100%. Yeah.
You just have to go through it. End of the day, still what really matters a lot is human-to-human connection.
Yep.
At the end of the day, we work together in teams, and you need to have good relationship with your subordinates and the people who are managing you. Because there's going to be hard times, financial problems will sometimes come.
Sure.
Sometimes you will have to let some people go because there's no funding or something.
Right.
But if you are with people that you're ready to go shoulder to shoulder and tackle those problems, then it's doable.
Yeah.
I think that's really the most fundamental thing I've learned.
How have you developed those relationships? I think because that's another thing too. I think it's very hard to do.
It's very hard, but you have to be sincere. Show vulnerability when you have it. Don't be afraid of it. Although it's very hard. I'm not great at it. Especially as a man, there's a sort of some blockage being
heard that.
Your team,
That's a whole nother.
It's like actually I have some sadness. I want to cry.
Sure.
But I'm not sure I can show it to my team.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
What's gonna think? Like,
absolutely.
Who's this wussy?
Right.
This is my leader.
Right.
Breaking down, right?
What are your thoughts on one-on-ones? What's your cadence on one-on-ones with your team? Do you have them? Do you stay away from them? I know there's different thoughts around that.
I try to do one meeting per sprint, so every 2 weeks with the direct subordinates, and if I skip a level, then I do once a month.
Okay.
But it can vary. As the team grows, it can be really hard to like really have it like system and equal distribution of one-on-ones. So you have to be sometimes just strategic, or people you have been in the company the longest, who are a bit more like informal leaders, like key personnel, key players. 'Cause they also, of course, know more than the newcomers, and then you can get a better sense what's going on in your teams.
So, have you done hiring lately for your team? Like,
lately, no. In first couple of years, I did a lot of hiring.
Okay.
Like, I think I've done like 200 interviews. So
okay, great. So that's perfect. So let's start there. 200 interviews.
Like in total, that's my estimate. Like
right.
engineers, QA, DevOps, backenders, product owners, potential Scrum masters.
Yeah.
We did a
So
lot.
200 interviews. We talked about curiosity being incredibly important when it comes to interviewing. What are some other things you look for individuals? Where if people really miss the mark? Like if you could say, hey, out of the 200 people, those people, the people that I rejected, did these three things really poorly?
Yeah. Well, communication skills obviously stand out. How you come across, how well you're able to articulate whatever you're trying to say, because the expectation that people are going to know everything that's required for the role, I think that's unproductive, because what matters way more is how people how fast they're able to learn.
Yes.
Because all our professions are now evolving so fast.
Right.
I am also now falling behind on many fronts, especially on hands-on coding, and every now and then I need to catch up with something.
Sure.
And everyone is expected to do that because technology evolves so fast. So you actually want to find that signal that shows that they are a good learner and they are into it. They actually like it. They enjoy it. Good ability to communicate, of course, correlates with a higher also intellectual ability.
And I'm gonna interrupt you quick. Like communication, like I know people are so tired of hearing it. Like you need to have good communication skills, and people are like, oh, I keep hearing that. But I think you said it best, like articulate. Because I feel like sometimes you get into an interview and you're like, hey, tell me about this, and they give you 60 seconds of something, and they don't really dig into it, and then that's it, and they just kind of sit there, right? I feel like when it comes to like articulating communication skills, I think it's going deeper, right? It's going to that second, third level, and like really deep diving, and then turning into a conversation. What are your thoughts? Because I feel like a lot of times in interviews, people sit, you ask them questions, and they go, I don't know, and they just sit there. Or you ask them a question, and they answer really shortly. Can you talk and kind of like encourage people who interview, like, hey, try to turn it into a conversation? What are your thoughts on that? Because I feel like people sometimes can be really short in their answers, and it just doesn't help at all.
Well, So of course, it also depends who's on the other side of the table. I have my own personality and my own seeing things and judging fitness for the role, because of course there are multiple factors, just also experience, hard skills, assumed culture fit, because there's a bit of course subjective guess. So I don't think there's a universal advice. You have to see who you're talking with, right? If you want to be a successful interview, you need to build that rapport. Build that connection that, understand the person. You try to, what is he or she looking for? What kind of answers? It's totally fair game to ask a bit of next question. Like when you're asked to answer something, you can ask what kind, how long of an answer do you expect?
How a little back and forth.
How much information you want me to give you? How deep do you want me to go here, right?
I love that.
That's all fair game.
So curiosity, lack of communication skills. What are other two areas that people have really missed out of the 200 interviews that you've conducted?
Well, those in my my view are the biggest ones, because those are hard to fake. And they're a bit more softer and elusive, and I think it can be a game changer, because they're gonna set you apart from the others. The other are just hard facts, just experience, right? I mean,
Sure.
somebody who has done 3 roles and been already a senior, let's say React developer,
Yeah.
and done something a bit on the cloud, of course, going to stand out.
Sure.
So that's a no-brainer. Everybody sees, okay, yeah, of course, yeah, the fitness isn't there.
So when it comes to resume writing, you're saying if you have the experience, put it on your resume.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, and of course, there's always going to be next stage, technical interview,
Sure,
where
sure.
that will be tested, and maybe a coding assignment is going to, of course, be checked. But
Do you like it when people come prepared for an interview? Like, hey, listen, they've done research on you, they done research on the company. Does that carry some weight?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, that helps a lot. Of
Okay.
course, that they are into it, right? That they're curious, they are interested, they want to be part of the team, they like the mission.
Yeah.
They're going to have more motivation. I think that's a very fair assumption to make.
Yeah.
I think that also sets people apart, obviously.
So obviously we're at Dev World right now. Incredible conference already. I've been here for 10 minutes. It's incredible. Talk about the importance of networking. Talk about the importance of showing up at these type of things. I feel like it's important from a career perspective. Can you give any insight to that?
Yeah. I went to my first conference like this in 2018. It was a Vue conference, also here in Amsterdam.
Okay.
And at the time, I think I had worked mostly with Angular. And I didn't like it. Oh my God, Vue, the whole new thing. Like,
Sure.
what are they talking about? What is this code? Like, not much. But the biggest actually impact and takeaway afterwards was that it sparked my curiosity.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, the energy. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much people. There was like 1,000 people in one theater. It's like, oh wow, that's a big deal. Evan Yu, the creator, was there.
Yeah.
And then I just spent a weekend learning Vue and building my, like some things, and then that's how I learned Vue.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's the biggest thing. I don't expect to come to conference and learn something, because there's so much information.
So
you see
much
so much
information.
code blocks. I mean, you have so much brain power you have. But the biggest thing is inspiration.
Yeah.
To actually like pick up some ideas, some notions, make photos, and afterwards you can do your own research.
Right.
So I think it's that, and of course networking, meeting
Yeah.
new people,
Yeah.
having a chat.
Meeting you.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Likewise.
And I think too, I mean, from a leader perspective, why do you think it's important for leaders or organizations to empower people to come to these? Because in the States, there's been a lot of conversation about budget cuts, companies not sending developers to conferences. Maybe there's a little concern about their developers finding other jobs, right?
Yeah, I know.
What do you encourage, or what would you say to engineering leaders who don't want to send their people to conferences?
Good question. I haven't given such a deep thought. I am in favor. I have sent my team, my folks. I encourage them to come. Basically, to see what's out there.
Yeah.
I use Latvian word for that. I don't know how well it translates to English. Basically, to ventilate.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
to ventilate your mind, to
Sure.
get a bit of fresh breeze.
Yes.
Because you otherwise for the rest of the year you're just in your stack.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a lot of things going inside a company, but still can be a bit of stale and boring sometimes.
Sure.
But you get out there, get that excitement. Hey, the tech industry is actually blooming. It's so much going on, and but they're gonna find out maybe this I don't know. For example, let's say they find out there's a Datadog, right? Hey, they're gonna bring up. Should we consider maybe we
Sure.
can use it for this service? So the Datadog is the right choice. For example, I mean. I'm not saying they are, but as an example, right?
Yeah.
Or this other tech, or there's this library or this guy who was tackling this problem that's quite similar like ours. Let me message him on LinkedIn. Maybe he can help us figure this thing out. So
Yep.
I think the externalities and potential benefits are large. But there's this risk. They will go out, find some other company and leave you.
Right.
What you gonna do?
Right. Also, I feel like as a leader, if you're sending people to conferences, it shows them that you want to invest in them, so they're going to stay.
As well, yeah.
I love that.
There's
All right,
trust
so
there, yeah.
as we wrap up here, I have a podcast called Guidance Counselor 2.0. The last question I ask every guest is, if you could go back in time and tell yourself one thing early in your career, what would it be?
How early?
Just when you're starting out in tech.
Good question. Good question. I don't believe in these things, actually. I don't.
Good question, but I don't believe in it.
Yeah, because I mean, everyone is. You cannot get smarter than you are. I mean, I had to get my bumps. I had to make my mistakes in career and outside career as well. I don't. Yeah, maybe that will work, but I don't really believe in it. I think there's plenty of stubbornness or because I have maybe this flaw that I need to test things, even when it comes down, universal truths and truth and relationship. Sometimes I test things.
I love it. I love it. So keep testing things.
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, awesome to be here and have a chat with you.
Thank
you
you
for having me.
Appreciate it. Awesome.
All right.
First one done. The books.
Perfect. Well.